All right, welcome back to part 2 of this project that we have on this 2012 Polaris 900 XP transmission project that we've got. There's certain parts of this job that I didn't get videoed. I wasn't very good at keeping the camera rolling as I did some of this stuff, so as we get to those parts I will just do a voiceover and kind of explain what went on. So we will jump right in. Okay, a quick update on this thing. Didn't get some video of removing this transmission, but the hardest part of getting this out, once you get it all unbolted, is getting this thing shoved forward. I think I did video how we did that. We came in and unbolted this carrier bearing so we could shove this shaft forward. Once we got it shoved forward, we can twist it out like this, and it could come out this way. Right at the end of part 1 of this video series, I explained that there's a better way to do this. I found that out the hard way as I tried to wiggle and pull and pry on getting this out and creating enough room to slide it out. If you take the 4 bolts out of the front differential and just pull it forward a little bit, it makes it a whole lot easier to get out. Also, you'll notice here in this picture, I did get a clutch puller and got the primary clutch pulled off. So the transmission is out. We got it sitting over here with all these other parts. Obviously, we knew this bearing had broken the case. There's the piece of the case. Got a new transmission ordered. Won't be here till next Monday. I'll have to turn the core in. Right now, what I'm doing is I've removed this shock on this side. I've read about these 900 motors, especially the 2011s and 2012s, having an issue with one of the rods that hold a gear that goes to the starter in place. Loosens up, I guess, and ends up breaking the case. So while I have it down this far and I've got room, I'm going to pull that off. Just check to see if we have it loose. If it is loose, then we'll put some Loctite on it, tighten it up, and try to save us some issues down the road. So right now what I'm undoing is the stator. It's behind that cover. I'm undoing the stator wires right here. That's how they are on this machine. So we'll take these bolts out, get this case off, and just take a peek under there and see if we have, just trying to do some preventive maintenance while we have it tore down. All right, so we pulled the stator cover off. There's a gear that was on a, so I can see it, on a little post that's still attached to the flywheel cover. This is the gear. It goes back on a post right there, and that's what turns the starter. So when I put that back together, I'll kind of try to show how that goes in. But this right here is the gear that people get worried about. This post right here is threaded into the case, and I guess what happens is sometimes this comes loose and starts to wobble. You'll have hard start problems because the gears won't line up right, and then sometimes it'll crack your case. And so I just want to get in there and make sure that that's tight. If we need to pull it back out and Loctite it in, we will. If it's tight, then I think we'll be okay. But right now I'm going to use this flywheel puller. I've pulled the nut, the bolt that goes in to hold the flywheel on. It's on a tapered shaft. Let's see. This is the bolt that goes in there. I just backed it out with an impact. Pulled it out. There's a keyway right here. We gotta be careful of not losing. Got a little bucket here on the bottom to catch any oil that may have come out, as well as parts that I might drop. So This is reverse threaded, so we're going to try to thread that on like that. And this bolt right here will go down and crank onto the end of the tapered shaft and pull the flywheel off. That's our hope. So I'll do that first and then we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm missing some video right here, but I did get the flywheel off and I did remove the stud that is holding that gear on that you can see here in this picture. On this particular machine, it was tight, but I wanted just to make sure that we didn't have any issues in the future, so I pulled it out, put some Loctite on it, and tightened it back up. One thing to note also, when you put the cover back on, the flywheel cover back on, there's a very specific torque spec, and you must have the right gasket. I fought this for a little bit. If you don't, and it gets on there too tight, or there isn't enough clearance, it won't allow you to start the bike. I thought I had a dead battery for a while before I figured out that the flywheel cover was just too tight. So when I originally got this machine, the idea was that I was going to try to figure out how to rebuild this myself. When I got looking online, I found a company called RZR out of Springville, Utah. It was here locally, and I thought I could just take this thing up and get it rebuilt. The website said that they could have it done in a week, so I thought, well, I'll just spend the extra money and just take this up and have them rebuild it. And that was a good plan for a while, but it went on to 1 week and another week and another week, and pretty soon I was over a month and they hadn't even started. I don't know what the issue was, but in the end I decided just to go ahead and rebuild it myself. Okay, I got tired of the runaround that I was getting from the place that was going to build this transmission, so I've asked for my money back, and we are going to rebuild this ourselves. Figure it out as we go. So I'm going to start tearing this apart, take this off here, take out the gears that are in this part, and then we'll break the case and see what we got going on, see what we need to order. Okay. Just for reference, oops, shoot, that's not how it went, like this. So it went down in there like that. There's a spring that was hooked in. I don't know if it was in like this. It popped out. That's how it was at. Get the camera right, sorry. So there's a spring that was in here like this. This comes out right here. This was right here. And these tiny marks, we'll need to look to make sure when we put it back together that they were anyway, this all comes out. We'll make sure we know what we're doing when we put it back together. We'll watch some videos. Make sure we have it right. All this is going to come out, and then we'll split the case. Okay, so this is all torn apart. Put it on a baggie, sitting over there. We're going to start taking this case bolts out all the way around, so if you can split the case and see what we have inside. We're going to take these off in a crisscross pattern to kind of relieve the pressure equally as we pull this apart. Okay, so we got the case split. We obviously have a problem we knew on this bearing. There's the race. I don't see any other bearings that are bad. Of course, I'm going to replace all of them, but this one's obviously bad. It's seized up, and that's a problem. I don't know why. This gear, the teeth on these gears don't look terrible. There is some scarring right here from where these bearings come apart. I think we're ready.
We don't have paper. Yeah.
Those blue ones.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Yeah, you better.
We don't have any.
So I'm gonna start turning this and taking this apart, and I need to be able to put it back together. So that's gonna be the challenge. But I'm just gonna start taking it apart. I got a good footage of what it looks like from all angles, so that when I do put it back together, we don't have issues. But there is some wear. This is a chipped tooth right there, so that gear probably needs to be changed. Definitely. It looks like there's some wear and damage right there. This sprocket, there's some scarring and damage right there. But let's see what we can find those shifts. It's almost like, I don't know if those are supposed to be rounded like that. It almost looks like that needs to be fixed. I'll look into that as well. So we'll try to get this done, rebuilt, and upgraded, so that we can have a better machine. Obviously, we're going to need a new case for this. That needs to come out. That obviously goes right here with these teeth. I don't see any major wear there, but it does look like there's some wear right there. Anyway, so we'll start pulling these apart and see what we can do. Okay, I've pulled this gear out of the seal right here, so that's where we're going to start with. This is a big gear right here that locks into that gear. So when we put it back together, we're going to need to know where it goes. Okay, I'm removing these 4 bolts. Get the better angle there. There's one. Hold this bearing retainer right here. I'm going to take this shaft and this gear out, and I'm going to find a little baggie for the retainer and the bolts. Okay, this back bolt, the one that's back here, right here, is longer than the others, so that's something to remember. Okay, that gear and bearing have been removed. This gear down here looks good. I don't see any damage, but I do see some metal down there that we'll have to make sure we get cleaned out. Before we put it back together. Splines look good on that. Everything looks good. This is the gear. This is the stuff that are going to be needing to be replaced. This gear looks pretty damaged, and this one does too across the top here. But anyway, that bearing obviously. We'll keep after it. Okay, I'm going to take these shift forks out. So I'm pulling back on this shaft. I'm just going to try to wiggle these out if I can. I don't know exactly how it comes out, but how it works. That's kind of wiggling on that. Okay, that came out. Okay, so metal shavings and stuff get cleaned up, but there's a little bit of scarring on this inside of this. see anywhere there though. It looks to be a little bit of scarring on the inside. I don't know why or how, because nothing really goes in there. That goes there, back in. These rotate. They were back in like this. This is how that was working. So, put that there. Then we're going to pull this shift fork mechanism out. If we can, oh, we just lift up on it and wiggle them out. That went here, did you see? Went in there, went in here, and then down here. This one there with the springs. This one went here, and it went into this hole right here. So that's how that works. Okay, so now we're going to pull this assembly out. This is the main shaft. Wiggle it there. See how that goes? That goes in there under that chain. So wiggle it out and the whole main shaft comes out like this. We're going to keep these together like that unless we upgrade this chain to a different chain. Looks like that sprocket is, this is the reverse chain. But all these bearings look to be in pretty good shape except for the one here that was broken. And this is the one that we have issues with. So there's this bearing. This bearing looks not very good shape. Not at all. So that bearing definitely, and this one's just seized up. That goes right there. So this side of the case is good. We'll clean it up. All of our gears are out. This needs to come out. Film this right here. This is gotta be, new case has gotta be, the side of the case has gotta be purchased. Oops, it's not the right size. Let's get this. It's gotta come out and go back in the new case half. Ooh, that's tight. Good looking. See that broke loose?